World Seder. I'm your host, Ron Furman. On the show today, I have the incredible actor, Oren Rahani. Hi, Oren. How are you?
Hello, hello. How are you?
We are currently talking all from
Thanks
Toronto.
for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. We're talking to Oren right now, live from Israel. I'm here in Toronto, Canada. Oren and I actually met in Los Angeles while he was an actor. He still is an actor. I remember him coming to LA, performing after I watched an incredible film called The Promised Land. And that's how I recognized you, actually. I walked up to you and I said...
The Holy Land.
The Holy Land, right, the Holy Land. Oh my God, it was incredible. You played a nerd there who was kind of trying to get with a girl. Clearly how I felt about my childhood, not. But
I still play nerds till this very day.
Well, you know, it's
that typecast
listen,
has changed.
I'll never play a skinny person either, or the leading man of anything. I'll always be the best friend. So I totally understand.
It's a mob film. I can see you playing a leading man in a mob film.
Babyface Furman? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't work that well. Oren, the reason we're talking today is number one. You know, I've known you for a long time. You've been always performing, always having an amazing attitude about life. Whether you're back in Israel or in Los Angeles, wherever you're at, you're just one of those very happy-go-lucky people. I want to know what got you interested in performance. What was the first time that you said to yourself, you know what, I want to be an actor. I want to be an entertainer.
You know, it sounds like a cliche answer, and I've given it in interviews, but it's the truth. I always knew. It's kind of like one of those. It sounds like one of those cliches. But when I was in first grade, I was in summer camp in Jerusalem. It was called Ein Chemed. It's like this really nice kind of like. Let me turn that off. It's a really nice kind of like a spring with like this kind of outdoor area. And there's a monastery there. It's kind of like people hike there. And they used to have a summer camp there. And every year we would go there until I was in fourth grade. And first grade, I already did a musical in front of the whole group. I played a Yemenite shoe salesman called Yahya.
Wow, okay.
I don't know how I remember that shit. And it was like a musical thing, and I remember the lyrics. Yahya Yahya Temani lo ashir velo ani bal Yerushalayim lesahsayahna alayim. I don't know how I remember that. That was a long time.
Nice.
And I always wanted to put on shows for the class. In high school, you know, I was the star of the high school play at the end, at the senior play. I was just always interested in it. I studied theater. I started studying theater when I was very young. When I was 16, I went to actually a very famous acting school in Jerusalem called Nisan Nativ. It's a very big one. And I went to their youth program for a whole year, twice a week, a whole year. That's actually a lot of hours of theater education for a 16-year-old. And I got my first gig. My first gig. I hosted a donor night, or what would you call that? Like a fundraiser night.
A fundraiser.
For the Jewish agency in Jerusalem. Between Yud Aleph and Yud Bet, what do the Americans call those? Yud Aleph,
11th and 12th grade.
11th and 12th grade. I on the summer during the summer vacation, they hired me to host their fundraiser in English, and it was rap style. Because rap was cool. Nice. So it was like white people doing rap. It was cool. So it was ridiculous.
Was this like in the early 90s?
We're not going to disclose that, but yes,
okay,
it was.
All right.
It was.
Okay.
It was mid-90s.
Well, that's when that white cool rap sort of worked for a little while.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like the old Jewish white Americans thought it was lovely, thought it was endearing. And I remember there was also a very funny story about that the head of the agency was called Simcha Dinitz at the time. Little political gossip. And right when the day we were supposed to perform to do the hosting thing, and there was a little bit about him. There was like Simcha, like every time we call somebody on the stage, we do like this little rap song about them. And I remember it said that Simcha has pizzazz. And the same day, he was caught embezzling money with the Jewish agency's credit card or something like that. And he went on trial later. I think he actually went to prison for that. So the producer comes in, goes like, it was like a showbiz story. He goes like, the Simcha thing, it's cut out. Don't do the Simcha thing. We're not doing the Simcha thing. It was like breaking news. So,
Right.
so that was my first gig, paid gig. I was going on 17, and then I just decided, when I was, to go to theater college. A few years later, I always wanted to. I thought of going to the University of Tel Aviv program, but then I went to Beit Tzvi,
Mhm.
which is a very big institution. I only lasted a year there because I'm a disobedient idiot, which probably is a good thing because I think they were a little too harsh in that school with people, and
Okay.
there's a bunch of stories with them too. Never mind, you can Google it. I switched to a much smaller theater school in Holon, which is close to
Mhm.
Tel Aviv. And it was a very small school. I felt like I was getting very personal attention, very small classes. It was lovely. It was great. We did a lot of theater. We did a lot of productions. We studied. That school had an emphasis answering you mentioned that I always create my own content and all that, and I think
Yep.
that started over there, because that school specifically emphasized about not only being an actor, but also being a creator of content, a writer, anything that would be not just be like an audition
Right.
machine, like right.
Well, you want to be able to have some sort of control being in that type of industry, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know as actors, we're sort of slaves to the producers, the casting directors.
yeah,
We kind of want their attention, but if we become the writers, we have something more to offer, then they
exactly.
take us more seriously and they feel like we're more part of the big program as opposed to just playing our role.
And also, it's like any business, like any self-employed person, you got to take your destiny in your own hands. If you're a plumber
Absolutely.
sitting for people to call you and you're not advertising yourself, not marketing yourself, not, I mean, even plumbers have reels today. When you think about it, all the self-employed people, they have a Facebook, and they have a whatever on Instagram, and they put videos
Right.
of them working and interviews and all. So the 21st century is all about self-promotion. And if actors don't understand that they got to make their own stuff and promote them,
Mhm.
that's the first thing I tell my students when I teach. I tell them, if you're going to sit by the phone or whatever and wait for auditions today, you will not have a career. You have to create and build your own audience. And this is something you're
Right.
doing right now. This is something I actually started my own talk show during the Corona called Fuck Corona. And, I really, 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 if there's one thing I really believe in, it's that. And I think it all started with that small little school in Cholon that we had a class that was called creative thinking or something like that, and
Mhm.
how to write your own monologues.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of actors who study theater experience the opposite of this saluting all the great writers, which we all do. We all salute Tennessee Williams, all the great ones, Shakespeare, they were the greatest. Doing their material is a gift. But what about me? I mean, you can write your own monologues. You can write
Right.
your own one-man show. You can write your own short films. I've produced and directed 9 short films in the past 5 years.
Right.
9. The last one I did during quarantine. I've shot the whole thing during quarantine with 28 actors from all over the world, and I won an award for it from one of the Israelis. The Israeli lottery they have a fund for the
Mhm.
arts. So I actually won an award. I submitted it to them, and I got money for it.
I want to ask you a question. I want to
Yeah,
kind of, do it in pieces in a way.
yeah,
Uh, you play a lot of, the nerdy characters. I know that we're going to talk about it later. You also played an interesting character in an Oscar-winning movie, right?
yeah.
Short film. But someone who plays the nerd somewhat maybe is a nerd in real life, and the nerd in real life isn't really the type of guy that wants the attention, wants the limelight, right? Almost like, let me keep to myself, let me do my own thing, don't bother me. What really inspired you to want to be this person who is out there creating? Because you need to be a type of person.
Hmm.
Where is that spark coming from? Is it the fact that you love to create, you've always been that gifted person, or is you're always looking for something bigger than you? I'm curious to know where the
Right.
inspiration really comes from.
Well, you know, I don't see myself as particularly gifted or any any more talented than any other person. But there's something I learned from a very dear friend of mine in LA. You might have met him actually, Aaron Dennis Garcia. He's a screenwriter mainly.
Uh-huh.
Now he also created a pilot for a new show and he's acting in it. As an improver screenwriter.
Hmm.
One thing he's taught me is to never leave things in my head. Like I think one of the bigger blocks that people who are trying to create content is that it's kind of all floating in their head, and it actually art your own skull is like the most dangerous place for art to live in, because
Hmm.
it can be deleted and erased and suffer from self-criticism and self-censorship and stuff like that, because we all do that. We
Right.
all kind of edit our thoughts and our ideas. The trick is to put them anywhere else but your head. It doesn't matter if it's very hard for me to write. I record my ideas,
Hmm.
record them, write them down. And Aaron's taught me something very valuable, is that the first draft, your goal is to make it bad. If see, this is where you battle with perfectionism, which is something I have too, and it's part of like I think the thing that's preventing people from creating is perfectionism, because when it's in your head, it's very amorphic, and it doesn't have a shape and it doesn't have a structure, and you're trying to put it the first time on the page with a perfect
Right.
structure and perfect everything, and that never happens. The greatest writers in the history of the planet know this. Your first draft will be bad. It won't be good. You won't show it to anyone but yourself. And writing is rewriting. The rewrite is a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun
Right.
to rewrite. I love rewriting, by the way. If you give me a script, I love rewriting stuff because it's easy. It's fun. It's already there. You don't have to put it there, and you make
Hmm.
it better. I'm very good with making things better. I'm very bad with writing it from scratch.
From scratch, right?
That's my challenge. But once you accept that that scratch you're making or that draft you're making, one of its sole purpose is to be written on the page, and it's meaningless. The quality of it is completely meaningless. Then the second, third, fourth rewrite is where you make it great. And if the idea is great, it will get great. But
Hmm.
I feel like that's where people fail, is that they try to get it perfect on the first time. And when you think about it, it never happens with any other form of art.
Right.
People write a song, they could record a draft. It's shit. It's not balanced. It's all the notes are wrong. Then they work on it for a year and then it's a great song. I mean, so why is writing any different? So this is where I get the inspiration from, just putting it on the page and then reading it and seeing if it really has potential. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's so bad. I dropped my thing. Sometimes it's so bad that you just want to toss it aside. But guess what? Now you know. If it stays in your head, I've had great ideas that I didn't put down on paper, and then they're gone, and then they're gone forever. It's
Well,
very
isn't it
sad.
the same thing with acting where, like, you're performing for so many years, like, and then you get this, like, one amazing role, and then, like, that kind of changes everything. You kind of build confidence off of that. You go, okay, I know I've got this, right? So my question is, when you kind of got into the industry, what was that point in your life where you said, okay, wow, I know I can do this as a career. I know that this is something that's going to bring me fortune. This is something that's going to bring me joy to my life. When was that point in your life that you really felt I'm there?
Well, it happened to me in somewhat of a challenging way, actually, because right out of acting school, I was a very young, inexperienced actor. Right out of acting school, I got that gig that you mentioned, the Holy Land,
The Holy
which
Land, yeah.
is which is completely overwhelming because I was very young. It was my first acting gig. I mean, I did a commercial before that kind of like viral, that was big on TV, and a lot of people saw it. So that built my confidence. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
big commercial. I got paid well for it, and everybody saw it. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a professional actor now. But then I got a lead in a film, 22 days of filming. There's literally no scene in the film that I'm not in. It was 14 hour days, day in, day out. straight. Like it was 5 days a week or even 6 days a week. I think we worked Fridays. I don't remember. 5 or 6 days a week for 22 days. It was a whole month. It was very hard work. I don't know how I endured that. And plus I had to think about all the stuff. But the lucky part was that I was still unjaded, untainted. And I had 3 years of theater classes and plays in my head. So I was fresh. I was fresh off the boat. I was fresh out of acting school. And I didn't have an ego yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did what I was told, and I was happy to be there. My counterpart actor, my opposite talent was Tchelet Semel, which we're friends till this very day. And I'm very good friends with the director of the Holy Land, Eitan Gorlin. I'm very good friends with him till today. Very talented guy. He just wrote a film that Cuba Gooding Jr. directed, and he's working. He's working on a big project now. So it took him also many years to make another film that got sold. But I sometimes I think back on those 22 days, and I'm like, I don't know how I didn't collapse. It's because I had the energy of, I'm just thankful to start off my career with the lead role. And this is actually where it becomes a bit of a curse, and it becomes challenging, because I started off with like, boom, a lead in the film. So you think, okay, so it's going to be lead roles from now on. And guess what? Showbiz doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's almost like it's a bit of a curse. So for many years, I didn't get a lead role in anything. I did other stuff. I did supporting roles. I did a lot of stuff. I did smaller parts. And then I moved to America not long after. And I came to America with a bit of naivety in which I thought somebody's going to knock on my door and hand me over a career, because I was playing in theaters in New York. I was in the lead in the movie in theaters and all parts of New York. It started with the Angelica Theater, and then it was on the Upper East Side and the other theaters, and it was in commercial theaters. And I'm like, okay, so an agent should knock at my door any day now and go like, Oren Rohani, I'm here to make you a star. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It's hard work. It's a lot of business, a lot of meetings. It's a lot of chasing after people. It's a lot of self-marketing in an era that you couldn't do that. You couldn't really do that, self-marketing. I mailed DVDs with my reel on them to agents. Can you imagine waiting for somebody to open your envelope with your DVD inside with your reel? It's insane. So, at one point I realized, it took me a while, but I realized that I have to start creating my own films, putting myself in them, not putting myself in them, and started a director's career. And that was my journey. I feel like I am a lead actor type, in my own nerdy type, but my experience in showbiz has taught me that I'm going to have to be it's probably me who's going to have to be making that film about the teacher that goes postal or something like that, which I
want to know, there were many probably mentors that you followed, getting into the industry, right? Like you had to read books and you had to get to know directors and writers and actors. But now that you're in a different part of this world, meaning you're directing more, creating more, as opposed to just being an actor, can you name maybe some of the mentors that you not just got to learn about, but possibly meet during your time in Los Angeles?
One person that comes to mind is Gunnar Todd Robichaud, from the Actors Comedy Studio. And he's an expert on sitcoms. And he has this thing called the 10 Characters of Comedy. And he teaches that to actors, but it's a very good tool for writers too. I learned a lot about comedy from this guy. He's a really nice guy, and he has a very interesting way of teaching. It's all done on camera in his class. And he really teaches everything through the, through the prism. Is that the word? Prism?
Prism, yep.
Through the prism of his method. So you need to identify yourself as what comedy character are you out of those 10, or you could be a combination of 2.
Right.
And I'm the neurotic, obviously. So, and then once you learn about their characteristics and who they are, and he has a list of he has this thing called the mantra. So every comedy character has a mantra, and they all have very specific characteristics, and you really kind of learn how that person would react to certain situations.
Mhm.
And you put in your own personality in there, which is great, which you always do, but it kind of gives you a guideline on how to build a brand, really. And speaking of brands, so another mentor I had in LA, which I loved, which unfortunately passed away last year, was Sam Christensen from the Sam Christensen Image Process. And his workshop was amazing. That was all about forget acting for a second. Let's put it aside for a second, and let's talk about who you are.
Right.
And the biggest question is, do you know who you are? And even more important, do you know how the public sees you? Are you really aware of how you appear to others? Like, what first impression do you make? It's more about the psychology of, are you aware that you look like a nerd no matter what you wear? If you take the glasses off, put them on, wear a funky, cool t-shirt, have earrings, doesn't matter, cool rings, nerd. And I learned that in his workshop. There's something about a structure of the human face and your energy and the way you talk and the way you express yourself that is very, very specific, and people categorize you right away in a certain category. The problem is when there's a dissonance between the way you see yourself and the way others see you, that creates a lot of casting issues. And as an artist, it's kind of a block. So Sam Christensen removed that block from me. And he actually boils down your personality or your image, your public image, into two adjectives. And they're usually opposites. It's a very long process. I'm explaining in 1 minute, but mine is awkwardly graceful.
Okay.
Which I feel like is very precise. And it goes back to your question when you said, you asked me about why do I always play nerds, and you're probably not a nerd in real life because you're outgoing and you can't be shy, you have to be social to be an actor, and it's all true. But the reality of the fact is that even you have two opposites existing in your personality at all times. And sometimes I'm graceful, but most of the time I'm awkward. So, a person that loves me and dates me thinks I'm graceful. But, but most dates that I have gone before I met her, I was awkward.
Right.
So,
well, I want to know about like the acting structure itself, because there's some sort of a change that's happening today. I don't want to get political on this, but I might get a little bit political. Where, like today, even The Simpsons, they don't want now a white person doing the voice of a black person or an Indian. But it's the whole point of acting is being somebody else, meaning right now you're looking at my face and I'm this really sweet person saying hello to everyone, and then I become this mean, crazy Israeli who wants to kill you or whatever it may be. Isn't that what acting is all about? Getting, like, yes, knowing yourself, like a Pacino or a De Niro. Put them in every movie, you still see something about them. But then you have the Gary Oldman who can play any character, and you go, what is Gary Oldman?
Yeah. Well, regarding what you said, I think you could be a nice, cute Israeli who wants to kill me. That would be the interesting combination.
Got it.
But
okay.
And you could probably do that.
Possibly.
Yeah, and
well, you're a nerd, so it will be easy for me. So
yeah, what I think about, I have a lot to say about what PC culture has done to specifically comedians and art in general. But, I feel like it would be redundant because you always hear both sides of this political discussion about the PCs,
right.
the PC warriors going after actors who do African American voices, and then the others, and people like Jerry Seinfeld who says, I won't perform in colleges because of your fucking safe space, and everybody's offended by every other word, and I don't want to perform in front of an audience like that. And I have to say I'm more leaning towards him on that, because I feel like if you're going to a comedy show to get offended, maybe you should stay home and do something else. I mean, comedy is all about being offensive to everyone. That's kind of like the point, to everyone. I mean, George Carlin insulted everyone, on the same level. And what's his name? And he's so offensive. Come on, the cool guy.
I know who you're talking about. From the 80s.
Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle.
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
He's very, very offensive. But I'm sorry, he's also
Yeah.
hilarious. You
Yeah.
can't not. He's a genius. He's a brilliant comedic mind. And if you're coming, and if you can't hear the word pedophile, if you can't handle it, you know, I mean, comedy has always been a mirror to us. And guess what? Human beings, there are pedophiles amongst us,
Yeah.
and the Holocaust happened, and we, you know, we have to be able to heal this pain that we have as human beings with comedy. There's no other
Right.
medicine. There's no other medicine but comedy. What is it? There's narcotics and there's comedy. I'd rather do comedy, or both. But I'm just saying.
Well, they kind of align themselves together.
Yeah, I'm saying. So the question was, how do we, you know, where am I on that scale? I guess.
No, meaning when you're acting, you know, it's, the whole idea is to be a performer, right? Like even during Shakespeare times, men played women roles. You know, like it was all about the art. It was about performance. Who cares? Well, I mean, no one's complaining that Peter Pan is a woman. You know, like no one is saying anything like that, and we've just accepted it. But for some reason, there is now like you have to be a part of a category which limits the actors to really audition for anything and everything. It's sort of like.
I see it this way. I see this as a two-part answer. The first answer is that the acting craft has not changed. Somebody writes a character on paper, which means nothing, and then comes in an artist and brings it to life. Now, there are two major doctrines about bringing it to life. The first is, you know, Meryl Streep, Gary Oldman, all that group, which, you know, I don't know if Streep is a method actor, and I really don't know if Oldman is, but you know, the method acting is all about embodying that character and becoming that character for the period of the art piece, for the period of the film, for the period of the play, and that those people are usually character actors, okay, because they embody a completely different behavior, a different way of thinking, a different way of looking at the world. But then there are people like Jeff Bridges or Jack that just do Jack just does Jack. Yeah. So he has a certain type of personality that is the mold in which the character is being poured into, and not the other way around. Like Meryl Streep is the vessel, you know. Meryl Streep molds herself into embodies the character is the mold, and that's really nice in theory, but in practicality, it's really, I think, about a choice where you feel comfortable in. And I feel like it also depends on the media. I feel like in theater, I mold myself into a character because I feel like that's a medium that is more accepting of that, and you can get away with changing of physicality and all that. It might not be perfect, but on stage it works because it's a long shot. And I feel like maybe I'm not a good enough actor yet, or maybe I'm not there yet. I feel like when I do film, I have a bubbly enough personality, and usually people want to cast me the way I am because it fits that character perfectly. Like in The Holy Land or any other lead that I play or a big role, it just fits that character completely. I'm not a big chameleon when it comes to film and TV. Got it. I just do me, and I feel like the media is demanding of that more. If you're not a big star, they just want you to be you. Now, this is the second part of my answer. This is where 2020 comes in, because 2020 is all about you. Everything people do online, it's just this narcissistic festival of me, and here's my personality. Look at that. There's no privacy, is completely gone. I share every aspect of my life. I'm not personally me. I'm more of a private person. I don't share everything. But you see all these teenagers and just they expose everything, you know? Yeah. And it's part of the 21st century's thing that here's my personality in full. Now that is, you know, that coexists with, you know, not being a character actor, not embodying anything. Just reality TV is all about that. they're not playing characters. They have a crazy personality and everybody loves them. It's like Commedia dell'arte. You got the clown, you got the villain, but that's really who they are. They go on an interview later on TV, reality stars, and they're really that stupid. I mean, they're not. Maybe
Well,
they
they're not
exaggerate.
actors, right?
Well,
They're not actors.
I happen to think they are, by the way.
No,
I
they're
have
performers. I think they're performers.
performers. I have
There's a
no
difference.
beef. I have no beef with somebody who plays a character on TV in a reality show, and it's interesting, and people love to watch it. And
No, but they're not
and
playing a character. But that's the difference. They're not playing a character. They're being
the
a character.
the line is very blurry in 2020. You see, that's
Right. Well, we've made
way
the Kardashians famous for that very reason, right?
the way we're consuming and creating art on these mediums, on television, and online, and this whole thing of reality is not going anywhere. It's going to stay for many years. And it's
well, let's talk about.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears. We'll talk about the new reality in some ways, not really Corona, but for many years when Israeli actors would come to the US, they would usually play like a terrorist character on the television show, even the best of the best, right? Would like all of a sudden get some sort of a small role on 24 or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But since Gal Gadot and some other actors who came after, also some of the models that are in the business dating many celebrities, have you noticed a change in how Israeli actors are perceived, maybe taken more seriously? Because number one, most Israelis speak English properly. They're able to articulate themselves in a great manner while performing. It's not necessarily something like this when they're talking.
Yeah,
right?
Israeli.
Right. So do you think that the doors have opened?
You come here
Sorry?
often? You come
I
here
don't
often?
come. I often come.
Often.
But I want to know, has there been sort of a change, a shift, where Israelis feel either more comfortable coming to the States now, or they feel like, you know what, in Israel, this is a mini Hollywood. There's so many great performers. So I want to know about the acting industry and the difference between working in Hollywood and then working in Israel in television or in the movies.
But it's kind of funny. The first gig I got in LA, when I moved to LA after the Holy Land played in New York, was West Bank Story, which you mentioned, which is Oscar-winning short. That it was a student film, by the way, which is still why I respect student films till this very day. And if it's a grad film and if it's a good piece, I'll do it. Because and anybody who underestimates student films today, my students or any young actors, I'm like, just so you'll know, I was in a student film, a UAC student film that won an Oscar. So, you know, if it's a good film, an actor should look at it. If it's a good script and it's a good role for me, just do it. You don't care who's doing it, who's making it, what, because you never know where it's going to end up. And you never know who's going to see it. So that gig, I was cast as a typical Israeli kind of like punk or douche. And I was part of the posse. I was like, there was a Jewish posse and there was a Palestinian posse or gang. There were two gangs, there's an Israeli gang and the Palestinian gang. I was like an Israeli gang members, and I had this big fro, and I had a thin like a Guido beard going on. Mm-hmm. He loved that look, and I was like typical Israeli, but it actually looked like an Israeli from the 70s for some reason.
You're right, absolutely, yeah.
So that was the typical Israeli ars or douchebag, if you know I'm sure you know the word. So that was a typecast Israeli role. And then I was cast in a David Zucker film a few years after as an Afghan terrorist. But somehow with me, my personal experience coming to America, I don't look like what Americans, like a stereotypical Israeli to Americans. I look like a Jew from New York. The problem I have is that I don't sound like a Jew from New York. Maybe today I sound like a Jew from New York more than before, but I have a bit of an Israeli accent when I talk.
Right.
I don't sound like I'm from New York. I don't talk like this. I mean, I would, but not all the time. So then they don't. I'm a weird animal to them. Like I look like a Jew from New York. I look Eastern Europe. I don't look Mizrahi. I don't look like an Israeli. Like I don't look like don't mess with a Zohan. Right. I auditioned for that movie 3 times, and then when I talk, I don't sound like I'm an American from New York. So that's why my personal experience is I never played Arab, Palestinian, whatever Middle Eastern terrorist. I don't look Middle Eastern to Americans. That was part of like my issue. As far as the image, that was my personal experience. The image that Israelis have in the world, and playing roles on American TV and films, not sure that has changed much. I mean, Gal Gadot represents the Israeli model type. That has always been like the pretty European-looking girl. That was never the Arabic-looking Yemenite person, because most Israeli models, international models, are more European-looking or maybe kind of mixed, kind of like. I think the image has changed of Israelis from a Middle Eastern person that looks like an Arab or a Palestinian of Arab descent, which is like what in the 70s or 80s people view Israelis as. I think it became more of like what a lot of other nations in the world are becoming, literally, is the genetically mixed. Like, I think exotic would be the word right now to describe Israeli beauty or Israeli men or women. It's like different, exotic, non-waspy looking, non-Jewy looking. Maybe that's actually the difference.
But you're noticing something you keep saying is the look wise, right? Now, what I want to talk about, Israel is very diverse, right? And we would say that actually a large population of Israel is light skinned. And no, in terms of the numbers, it's clear. But there's so many talented Israeli actors. I mean, right now, I mean, I don't think we've ever had so much talent in Israel that we have now.
Yeah.
And yet, many of them, in my opinion, in order to really get to that point where they become recognized around the world, should move out to Hollywood and take that opportunity and see how they can use their art, their craft to, to make Hollywood more diverse and more accepting of Israeli actors.
I think the major challenge or the major block Israelis have in America is that our accent is untraceable and unrecognizable. It's a very strange accent that sounds like a Dutch person is a little drunk and they just came back from the dentist or something. That's what our accent sounds like. It doesn't sound French. Okay? Yeah, it's like nobody understands why do we talk that way, and when you see somebody talk on screen with an accent that is not recognizable as French right away or Spanish, these all sexy accents, even Dutch or South African, they're very recognizable. So, and you start wondering, where is this person from? Why are they talking like that? Is that a speech impediment? Are they French who is trying to sound Italian? Like, what's going on? Even an Arabic accent. I've played Arabs many times in film, usually very unsuccessful terrorists, but I know I can speak with an Arabic accent very, very easily, and everybody recognizes it. In America is Arabic. It's recognized. The Israeli, it's like this weird, we have a French R and we pronounce words almost like English sometimes. It's very strange. And it's hard to cast that accent. Now,
but you get British actors.
What?
You get British actors. So I forget his name, and I apologize if I do. He's the black actor from England. Igba, something like that. I'm forgetting.
But if he has a British accent, it's recognizable right away. And
no. But that's the thing. Many of the characters he plays has a really, really American accent. So wouldn't Israelis want to at least work on their accent to be able to?
You're forgetting that if you already speak English, it's a lot easier for you to change your accent and your dialect because you already speak the language. Like I can speak Hebrew in a plethora of accents because I speak Hebrew.
Right.
And of course, if you're British, you're exposed to American English a lot. So do Israelis. But if you're used to pronouncing a language so differently, such as English or Arabic or Indian or any kind of Indian language or Eastern languages, Thai, and for them it's a lot harder, by the way. For Indians and Thai and Chinese, it's really hard for them. It's very different than English. Hebrew is closer, actually. So then it's not your language, and you have to sound like you were born in LA or Minnesota or whatever or Texas. It's a lot of work. The way I sound right now was many years of hard work. Just saying the word hard the way I say it, that was years of practice. I mean, you can't do that in 3 months unless you're Australian. For some reason they can. I don't know. It's a lot of money also to get that kind of coaching. Get private dialect coaching. In LA, it's like $100 an hour to do that. And you need a lot of hours, and you need to practice it every day. And I don't think Israelis have the resources to do that. It's very far from the way they pronounce and they talk. And even Gal Gadot has an accent. She has an accent. She does
Yeah.
not. She does not sound American. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
She
totally.
she
I
has an
agree.
accent.
I agree.
And but where Hollywood is changing for the better is that maybe it doesn't matter anymore where somebody comes from. Maybe you can see a character on CSI or in a film and he has a strange accent, and it doesn't matter where you come from anymore, because guess what? The world is one. The world is one today. It doesn't matter. We're all this one big society, and if Corona changed something, I hope it changed that. I mean, we're all this one big community, and we speak different languages, but we all have the same problems and we want the same things. And I think America is definitely PC has changed a lot of things for the better. I mean, it's irrelevant where you come from or what your religion is. Who you are as a person is what people really want to know and are interested in today. And I really think that's true in 2020. So maybe there is more of a chance to speak strange accents that nobody recognizes on TV, and it would fly. But still, I think when people write characters, think about how very rarely they would write an Israeli guy, if it's not a war show, or it's about the Middle East, why would
Right.
somebody be Israeli? There are so many other nationalities that that are less of a minority in America. Italians.
And it might be offensive in some way, because someone's going to complain that, hey, why Israelis? If you got to have an Israeli, you got to have two Palestinians.
No Israeli would ever complain that somebody is writing roles for us. I was waiting for that for many years. I was googling the breakdowns in LA every day to see if somebody wrote the word Israel in there. I was doing that every morning. Israel. Because if it's Israeli, I got it. That's it. It's in the back. I got it. I'm Israeli.
Yeah.
But not many people write Israeli roles, and many people write Russians, French, Italians, Canadians.
Right.
All over the place. British. I mean, do they really need more roles written for them?
I think they like the accent. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, they automatically sound intelligent if they're British, right? They could be dumb as a post, but if they're speaking the British accent, then they must be. So it's kind of baloney.
Well, let's talk.
But I don't think that changed. I don't think that changed much, to be honest.
Let's talk a little bit about the differences between, I guess, Hollywood and the industry in Israel. Since you sort of, again, you've been in LA for quite some time, you're Israeli, can you tell me a little bit about the differences and how things are shaped? Like, for example, in Israel, comedians rule. It's almost like the people who are really stars in Israel are people who come from stand-up, are good writers, and you can put them in anything. Where they're very different in Hollywood. But when you audition for movies, I don't think that the Israeli actors get as much recognition as I said, as the comedians. People love to watch television more than go to the movie theater. Can you talk a little bit about the different industries and maybe the struggles in both?
Well, I'm gonna connect it to your last question, which is, I talked about how difficult it was for me to get to have a typecast in America because of my appearance, as opposed to the way I sound. But I'm fortunate that the majority of the roles in Israel that are being written are for the white Ashkenazi or European looking Israeli. We're still there, unfortunately. Like one might say in America, we're still in the white American guy. Those are the majority of the roles being written, unfortunately. So in America, that I looked like a Jew from New York and I sounded like a weirdo from Israel. Here, I look and sound like a Ashkenazi guy from Tel Aviv or from Jerusalem, like the scientist guy or the slightly nerdy Israeli, European-looking guy. And there are many roles written for this character, and I've been auditioning a lot more and booking a lot more. And I'm going to go into the non-personal thing in a second. The other aspect of it, which is very ironic, is that because of my language and my language skills in English and the native tongue and all that and my accent, to Israelis and also Israeli high-tech people and high-tech companies, I sound perfectly American and also look American. I don't know how, but I don't think I
Right,
look
right.
American. But it's enough that I sound American to them, and I have this nerdy thing that I really fit into this industry, the high-tech industry, which is very advanced in Israel and very elaborate. And they always hire me for their PR/corporate videos. So I've done a lot of those since I got back to Israel. Like that's my niche. I play the nerd who's selling you the software, you know, or something like that, or the high end product that they're selling, or I'm the boss that's saying, why do we need this thing for? You know, it's always
Yes.
like I always play that, or the scientist. And I actually had a scene in a film in English with Harvey Keitel last year.
Oh, wow.
I played his doctor in a version of Esau, which is a very famous book by Meir Shalev, very famous novel. And they shot an English version of it here, according to the English book, the English version of the book, of the novel. And I played Harvey Keitel's doctor. I mean, where would I even reach Harvey Keitel in LA? Where would I would never be cast as doctor in a pretty long scene, by the way. I played with a Hollywood legend in Tel Aviv. So I get a lot more opportunities here to act in English than I ever did in LA, which is very ironic because of my advantage. Because here I have less competition in English, and I speak it very well. So that's my experience. You know, stuff that I would never be even considered for in LA, I do here. I also played a role in Arabic in a very big film, a very big comedy called Boomschlager. I played a role in Arabic. I learned it phonetically and I did it. It was an Austrian film. And I just did a role in a very big blockbuster called The Mossad. It actually won first prize in the Toronto Film Festival last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was first jury prize. It's a crazy comedy. It's very much a David Zucker film. It's like Airplane and the Naked Gun, but it's an Israeli version of it. It's about the Mossad. It's a parody about the Mossad. And again, I played a very unsuccessful terrorist, a Tunisian terrorist, and I speak English in an Arabic accent. So I get cast in English here a lot. As far as the difference in the industry between Israel and the United States and the process of getting cast, if I understand your question correctly, the differences between Hollywood and Tel Aviv, you might be surprised, but there aren't many. I mean, in Israel, they, for some obscure reason, are insisting that we be off book on the first audition, which is something that I tried fighting with the union here, because I don't think that's accepted. I think that's rude, because it's very time consuming for a working actor to always learn lines for a first audition, and directors don't need to see that. They can look at auditions like in America with book in hand. But being perfectionists and maybe even exploitive as they are here, sometimes Israelis feel like, you know, they deserve everything. So actors work very hard on first time auditions to be off book. And I think it hurts them. I think it hurts casting, because if they didn't demand that of us, they would be able to see a lot more people. Because if you have 3 kids and they let you know to come in tomorrow, and they send you 5 pages, there's no way in hell you're off book with that. And in America, they can do that. They tell you to come tomorrow. They send you 8 pages, and they go, just to be familiar with it. And if you're a good enough actor, you can do it. You can read something that you read only once, and you can be good at it if you've done it enough time. What Americans call cold reading, but it doesn't exist here in Israel. There is no such thing as cold reading here. It's all off book. So that's a very big difference, unfortunately. Harder to get cast I work a lot harder to get cast in this country. I work my ass off. Self-taping here is taken over completely. I think in Hollywood, it's pretty much the same. I mean, 80% of my auditions are self-taped now. I just rarely go to somebody's office, which I love personally, because I'm really good at it. And
okay, well, now that Corona is sort of playing a big role in our lives, I think more of the taping will work towards your benefit, because people will not want to meet as much. Talk to me about what you've been doing during Corona, the positive, the negatives, because clearly you can look at some of the Corona and go, oh my God, now I'm going to gain weight. I won't have any friends. I'm going to get depressed.
Yeah.
Or, oh, here's an opportunity for me to write a new script. Here's an opportunity for me to work on something. Here's an opportunity for me to have a podcast where I get to talk to people like yourself.
Yeah.
So how did Corona shape your life, and what is your ultimate goal post-Corona?
That's a good question. I realized very soon in Corona that it's gonna. I wasn't one of these people who were like, it's gonna be over in a month. I knew we're looking at at least. I lost you for a second. Okay.
Yeah, do it again.
I knew that we're looking at a very long period of time, and I realized very quickly that this is going to be a very big shift, and we're going to have to get used to a new lifestyle worldwide. So very soon I started thinking about what do I want to create, and I started my talk show called Fuck Corona, and I thought of a concept and I thought of guests, and I just shot the first episode right away. I do one in Hebrew, one in English. That's what I do because I have audiences in both countries. So. And I thought it was going to be, I decided it was going to be showbiz people because this is what we do and this is what we love. And I've done 4 episodes of that. Kind of left it aside at one point because I wanted to create something more substantial, and I started working on a film. Mm-hmm. So I had this idea to shoot a whole film on Zoom, and the concept was simple. I just want to show life events, major life events, of how they would look like if they were on Zoom. So I thought of a funeral, I thought of a wedding that I didn't do because it's too complicated. So I was left with a funeral, then a surprise birthday party, and then a conversation between a grandfather and their grandchild, and then a breakup scene, and then sexual intercourse, and then the surprise at the end. I'm gonna ruin it, but it's like a birth. Like what if a dad saw his own son or daughter for the first time on Zoom? A little far-fetched because you wouldn't Zoom from the hospital, but could happen. Could have happened.
Right.
You get stuck in another country. So the first time you see your newborn on Zoom. And I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna shoot. So the question is, as a producer, you start thinking, oh, okay, how am I doing this? What would be the easiest, most efficient way? And I came down with, I have to call these people one by one. It was 28 actors. I called them one by one on Zoom, and I directed them. I told them what reactions to give me. And then I edited all of that into one film, 1 2-minute film, which I called Pale Blue Dot. That's the name of it, Pale Blue Dot. And I won an award for it recently. It's 2 minutes. It's online. It's 2 minutes. It's all over Facebook. I got, I think I'm at 5,000 views, something like that. And I submitted to festivals too. So that's another project I made. The third project, I started writing a TV show. I'm in the early stages of mapping out the characters and the story. I started reading a book called Door Wide Open. This lady sold me a book in a bar called Door Wide Open. She explained to me that she's in an open marriage with her husband. And it's all about their journey from monogamy into polyamory, which is what they are today. They're a polyamorous couple. And it's a very nice book. It's a very revealing and a vulnerable book about that journey they had and how they live their life today and their sex life and their marriage life. It's very, very interesting. It's very non-mainstream, but this is why I wanted to tackle that topic. It's because I think it's becoming mainstream. I think people talk about monogamy and sexuality and gender, all that gender blender thing that's going on today. And you know, I think it's the topic of the century, you know, how sexuality and love is not linear, you know, and it's not black and white. And I think it's time that like open marriage TV show, like I think Israel is ready for an open marriage or polyamory.
I totally agree.
TV show, and I think it's going to have that sex appeal and that voyeurism thing of what is that life like? Like a lot of monogamous married couple are going to go like it's going to be exciting to see what is marriage life look like when it's not monogamous. I mean, it's definitely sexy. And, you know, a lot of stuff like that was already in mainstream, like, you know, 50 Shades of Blue, 50 Shades of Gray. That would be the
I
Zionist
thought you were
version.
mocking it as a
That
joke.
would be the Zionist version. 50 Shades of Blue and White.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the world today, mainstream today, is becoming a minority. I think all the freaks are out of the closet, and all the freaks are dictating the agenda. Another good thing I think PC has created is like people don't need to hide anymore, and they can be a minister in a European country and say, I'm in an open marriage with my wife, and nobody's gonna care, you know,
Right.
unless you're a
But doesn't that say something? I mean, in some capacity about society?
unless you're an uber Christian country like the United States, nobody cares.
No, no, but doesn't that say something though about where we stand? I mean, I'm not questioning the sexuality part. I'm just getting into the more where the PC in some ways is also hurting us, and in this aspect, it's hurting us because we don't know what's black. We don't know what's black and what's white. Forget about living in between. We just don't know. And then anybody could say, "Oh, I'm a woman. I'm a man. I'm a cowboy. I'm like," meaning just say random things. And we as a society have to be, I accept. Isn't there something?
I see it this way. If PC is your excuse or one's excuse to be narrow-minded and to not accept another person's opinion or lifestyle, then I don't give a shit that they're PC. I mean, if you know, if a transgender is yelling at me that I offended them because I posted my picture as a female in one of that stupid app, and I wrote a silly joke like it's time for a sex change, or I'm considering a sex change. If they don't have a sense of humor about their sexuality or who they are, I'm sorry, they're not in my camp. My camp are people with a sense of humor. They're of all colors, all races, all religions, and every sexual orientation, every gender, every non-gender, non-binary, binary. I love everyone as long as they have a good, healthy sense of humor. If they don't have one, they're not in my camp. I don't care where they come from. I'm a comedian. If you can laugh about yourself with me, because I do that all the time, of how much of an idiot I am, then you're in my camp, and I'll have a beer with you, and I love you, and I don't hate the other camp, but I'm saying you can be PC and have a sense of humor. It's okay. It's all right. It's healthy. It's the sense of humor we shouldn't be canceling. Now, of course, I'm not going to tell a Nazi joke in front of a Jewish crowd. I'm not a moron. And I'm not going to offend Palestinians and call them names, or offend Orthodox Jews and tell jokes that are, there is taste. Taste is still here. I mean, and taste is changing. I mean, it's just a matter of knowing your audience sometimes. But being accused of being offensive every 5 minutes, that's the bad side of PC. And, the Me Too movement. What, if you're a feminist, you can't have a sense of humor? Why, if I'm a Jew, why would a yarmulke offend me? It's an item of clothing. But you know what? I'll give you an example. But for example, there's a festival in Belgium that they just celebrated, like, I think it was mid-corona, it was like 3 months ago, that they had Orthodox Jews floats. And it was like they throw the Jew down the well. It was like the Borat crap. I'm like, and you watch it and you go like, are you fucking kidding me? That is not just not PC. That is blunt anti-Semitism, because it's tradition that's been happening for thousands of years, and it's maybe after they hung the Jews, maybe it was the bodies of the Jews that they killed. I don't know, but I think
Borat had the same thing, running of the Jew.
Yeah,
and we laughed at it. And I said to my buddy when we were watching, I totally could see people doing this. We're laughing
in my country, the running of the Jew is the biggest festival. Yeah. So I think all people understand and feel where the line lies. I think we all know when somebody's coming from a racist, hateful place, or a misogynist place, and like, grab her by the pussy. I mean, we all know you don't talk that way about women, but if I tell a joke about that, there's this guy had his credit card stolen. So his friends are asking him, why don't you report the theft? Why don't you call the credit card company? So he says, because the thief is spending less than my wife.
Yeah.
So
very good.
I don't think that's offensive to women. It's offensive to marriage life. I don't know. Or like it's a woman should be able to laugh about that. And it's one of those, And you know, people like Jackie Mason, not flying today, not PC. Jerry Seinfeld, I don't think he's offensive. Personally, I don't think he's ever said anything offensive to anyone, and yet certain people think he is. I think that every new movement and every new idea that humanity has an upside and a downside. You know, except Nazism, that did not have an upside. That only
Right.
had down.
Well, if
And
it's calling, well, it's the same. But I would say the same thing with Hamas, right? Or where it's like blatant trying to hate someone. There's no talks of
yeah,
peace or coming together. It's blatant anti-Semitism. It's blatant. Or even again, if people are like right
yeah,
now, we're talking about Black Lives Matter. Yet we have more slaves than we ever had, and they
yeah.
happen to be most of them are black, and no one's talking about them. Talking about
No,
somebody in America, about a cop that nobody supports, not even white people. And even racists are like, no, that was bad. But we're not talking about real issues. We're always, I
yeah.
don't know.
It's always about gets the headlines. It's always about popular.
There you go. That's really what it's
That's, you know,
about.
it's
It's
always
not
about
really about.
sexy. What's sexy for the media? Because they're selling stories, and
Right.
the story has to be sexy. And I think like with everything else, you know, there's good taste and there's bad taste, and that's a flexible thing. It's a fluid thing, you
Yeah.
know. But I think that everybody should have a sense of humor. I think I will accept somebody telling me you're a misogynist pig and your jokes are offensive, or you just offended me, I'm a transgender. And I would be like, okay, maybe you're right. And maybe apologize. A lot of people have apologized. Roseanne Bauer, everybody's apologizing. They're all apologizing. That's the practice of the century, apologizing for shit you said. But all I'm asking is if if you're a serial being offended, because people who are serially being offended, and that's what they do all day, is just look for how to get offended. That means they don't have a sense of humor anymore, and that's just as sad as being a racist.
I'd like to know what your ultimate goal is. Like if I were to basically right now give you a piece of paper and a pen and go, okay, write the goals for the next 5 years where you want to be. Are you there? Are you on the way? What is really your ultimate goal as an actor, as a performer, as a writer, as a producer, as a director,
Uh,
etc.?
well, I have several, and I don't know what Tony Robbins would say about that, or any other guru, but I've really
Well, he is
learned.
not your guru. He said that. He had a
No,
documentary on it.
he's not my guru. I'm
He's
my
not your guru.
I'm my own guru. I mean, I I've learned over the years not to put all my eggs in one basket. I really think, especially in the 21st century, our industry is becoming that. If you put all your chips on 17 red, that's what it feels like when people were doing in the 20th century. Like this is a century of people who do many things. That's what I feel it's about. But you have to make sure that your endeavors kind of cross link,
Right.
or cross feed each other. My main goal is to become a director today. To be honest with you, I've made 9 short films, and this is, I think, how you test it with yourself. You should always ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing with my spare time that nobody's forcing me to do or even paying me to do, that I just keep doing? And it takes me hours and hours and hours and so much energy, and yet I keep doing it and I keep doing it. What is it? And the answer for me, the past 5 years, it doesn't matter if I like it or not, or what I think about it or not. It's been filmmaking. I've made 9 short films in 5 years.
Right.
So I'm starting to think of a feature. I'm starting to work on a feature. I know I'm working on a TV show now, which I may or may not be an actor in it. Probably I will. Um, to just sell a large scaled project would be one of the goals. You know, if it's either a TV show or a film that I wrote for myself. The thing is, film in Israel is a lot harder to get made than TV. We have film funds here, which is like winning the lottery. To get your film funded in Israel is insanely difficult because it's institutionalized and it's part of the state.
Right.
There's a lot of competition on who gets that pile of money,
and it's just very, very difficult. It's like winning a lottery.
But isn't it changing these days based on television getting more ratings?
No,
No,
not
it's
really.
still the same.
All the private production company are, most of them are in TV, and of course some of them are investing in film, but the majority of the budgets always come from the government here. It's like
Got
in
it.
Europe. So, and that's really hard. It's really hard to get your film. But I mean, I know some people that it took them 10 years. You know, and even in Hollywood, if you settle for a low budget film, it's not, it won't take you 10 years. I mean, maybe I'm
Right.
wrong. Maybe expert Hollywood people would tell me that I'm wrong. I don't know how it's like in Canada. Probably more like Israel. You have art funds. But the thing is, in TV, that's where they have available money to put down on something if they like it. So if you pitch a TV show to the right people, and they have a budget going for next year, and they go, Rouhani, this is it. Like this is the time to make a show about polyamoric people. We got the money. We trust you. You have enough experience. We're going into production. Maybe, I don't know, maybe as a writer, maybe as a director. Probably not a director because I haven't directed television in my life. So maybe it'll be as a writer, or maybe I'll even sell them the idea or sell them the concept.
Right.
But a big goal of mine is to sell a project, and
Which is the business, which is really how you make money,
so
right?
even if it's a concept, I don't mind. And another goal is to start directing, to start being hired as a director. I have 9 films. I'm working on a director's reel right now. So even if it's for really small jobs, like small commercials, for small digital media commercials, online stuff, even if it's something like that, I'd love to become a working director or a beginning working director, because I've been a professional actor for 20 years. It's a nice new horizon. And my third, notice none of those are booking a lead role in something, or booking landing a TV role or something. It's not that anymore. It really isn't. And it doesn't matter if I keep telling myself that it is, because I see selling a project and then acting in it, as a lead or not as a lead, a much bigger accomplishment. Because if I wrote the damn show and then I have a role in it, how awesome it is. And
Absolutely.
I feel like that would open more doors and bigger doors if I'm a creative in the business. If I'm a
Well, it's
creative.
because you're no longer the beggar asking for the audition. You come in with some power, and that makes perfect sense.
Not interested in being an audition whore anymore. It's not. It's like,
Right.
a personal coach told me once, Jamie Green in LA. He told me, "Do you really want to be a gun for hire for the rest of your life? I mean,
Right, absolutely.
is that the kind of person you are? Think about it. Do you have the brain? Do you have the kind of mental capacity? Do you have a capacity in your brain for more?" And he was right. I don't want to be a gun for hire for the rest of my life. And the third goal is, because I started teaching the past 2 years, I started teaching. I do private coaching for auditions, and I'm damn good at it, because I've done probably over 1,000 auditions in my career. I'm not exaggerating. I probably did over 1,000 auditions, if not more, if not 1,500. And the whole 10,000 hour thing. Yeah, I have 10,000 hours of auditioning for sure. So, which doesn't make any sense with what I just said. With 1,000 auditions, never mind. Oh, maybe
Well,
they
it makes sense because
Yeah,
the process.
they were each an
Well,
hour.
it's the process. You have to get ready for it. It's
No,
sitting
but
at home. It's going
also
through it.
if each audition, yeah, you're right. It's all the process. So
Right.
yeah, I'm an expert at auditioning. I really am. I know what I'm doing. And when I coach, some of my students a lot of them have gotten callbacks. One of them just booked a lead role. So I'm good at it. So also private auditioning, and also audition technique in class. That's something I really specialize in. I don't want to do the whole scene study bullshit, because I think actors get enough of that. And what they really need to be good at is auditioning. This
Right.
strange creature called an audition that terrifies actors. If you get good at that, it radiates on other aspects. You get good at everything else. So start a class, maybe even one day have a school that trains specifically for auditions. Like, just be really good at that. Like, hone in on that, on audition skills. That's another goal. That's an ongoing thing. I've had classes, I've had workshops, I have private, but Corona kind of,
Yeah, did its thing. Well, what I want to do is I want to, Oren, first off, say thank you very much for having this amazing interview. I got to learn a lot more about the industry than just about you, and I applaud you for it. I think that you're in the right place in terms of growth because, as actors, as you said, paid higher, a hitman for hire or something along those lines.
And for hire.
Right. It's no longer about that. It's about creating opportunities for us. And Corona is actually doing it because you can have people who have full-on careers and all of a sudden the job says, look, we don't need you anymore. And you go, okay, now what? I've been here for 15 years. Thank you very much for giving me some money that I've earned. But what now? And I feel that your approach to life and career is the right one. The one thing I asked is if you ever have a scene where you need a burly man comedian who can also play a killer, I'm in Toronto, but I can definitely make it down to Israel. It will be a pleasure. But honestly,
sure.
thank you very much.
You haven't changed at all. It's been years since I saw you. You haven't changed.
I met you
did
in
not
2004.
Age. Yeah, you did not age at all. I don't know what is it. I don't know what you're doing.
You're not seeing the bald spot in the back. You're just seeing the front.
Always put a hat on, but you didn't age. Whatever you're doing. I don't know if it's Canadian food or air or something, but keep.
I think it's the HD camera that's just doing something really nice for me.
The HD does. HD does the opposite.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it works for me. But I want to let you know, really, you're first off incredible actor. When I first saw you perform, I loved it, and when I got to meet you in 2004. And many years after, you being a photographer in Israel and in LA doing photos, I know that you're all over the place. And what really it tells me is that you're committed to the art, to the craft. And I wish there were more people like you who are so dedicated and yet are very down to earth, which is something that we really miss in this industry. So for that, I really thank you.
I appreciate that. And I just think that, I keep remembering all these things that my teachers told me and people who were my mentors. And I'll never forget something that the master of the school, the theater school that I went to, that small school I talked about in Holon, before I graduated, he told me, we were talking about if he has some sort of advice for me for, meeting very big people in the industry or auditioning or whatever, when I'm nervous about meeting somebody who's really big, that happens, it happens when you're about to do something big, you meet a big person. Right. He told me, he goes like, picture them on the toilet.
Nice.
He goes, remember that they're human beings like you. And there's these joke photos of like Putin and Bibi on the toilet and the Queen of England. And it just picture them humbled and picture them doing something very human, like farting or something. They fart. He goes, they fart just like you. And it's really true. It's like nobody in this life is really worth anything, as a human being than another human being. Agreed. And the problem starts when you start thinking that way about yourself. That's where all the problem starts. And that's where racism comes from and hatred and all that stuff and egomaniacism and all that stuff and narcissism. The second you think you have better value than another human being, for whatever reason, whatever the reason may be, you're already in a very wrong place. So I remember that, and I always say, always eye level, always down to earth. Don't talk to people as if you know more than them or better than them ever. Always listen. Maybe they know something that you don't. And then I think when you do that, people also listen to you more. They listen more and they accept you more. And you also see that with world leaders. You see that with very great people, that how they practice that daily. This, eye level kind of thing. And you see the people who aren't doing that, and how much they're appreciated by the public. So that's really a motto that I have. And I'm a know-it-all. So even when I say something that I'm sure that I'm right, I try to say at the end, maybe I'm wrong.
Right. Well,
so people Google.
You can say that.
Yeah. So people Google what I just said, which happens very often, and they go, "Oh, you're wrong about that." I said I could be wrong. I said.
Oren, it was such a pleasure. Again, I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you for being on the show. And I wish you everything you want out of this corona. But again, I was serious about the audition. You ever think about someone, I'm here for you.
Okay.
Once again,
All right.
Oren Rahani, great actor, great performer, great director. Wishing him the very best
you.
during this corona time. God bless and health. That's the number one thing I wish for everyone on this earth.
Thanks for having me, and I wish for everyone to get out of quarantine soon, and better, stronger, and continue with whatever they were dreaming of before.